There's a lot of conversation at the NATO summit as well about the conflict in the Middle East. And today, President Trump talking more about America's recent success, as he puts it, to the massive bombing over the weekend of some key Iranian nuclear sites. Trump was also asked why he is so confident that this war, launched about 13 days ago between Israel and Iran, is now, in fact, truly over. Listen to this.
I think a big telltale sign was when, as you know, Iran somewhat, by not much, violated the ceasefire, and Israel had the planes going out that morning, and there were a lot of them, 52 of them. And I said, you got to get them back. And they brought them back. They didn't do anything. They brought them back. It was very good. I thought it was amazing, actually. They have fought a hell of a war. They fought very hard. I think the war ended, actually, when we hit the various nuclear sites with the planes.
Now, there are questions about just how successful that American bombing run was, or perhaps was not. Donald Trump defending claims that this has been a catastrophic situation for Iran and that its nuclear program has been largely destroyed. But there are reports circulating that, in fact, it's possible Iran's program has really only been set back a few months. Let's bring in CTV's Scott Hurst with more on this leaked information that President Trump is not happy about.
No, Todd, you can imagine that Donald Trump is really angry at that initial assessment, pushing back against anyone who would dare question his assessment of the strike, which he says is a total obliteration of Iran's nuclear program. And any other suggestion, he says, is flat out wrong, despite that leaked information from a U.S. intelligence report that suggests Iran's nuclear program, after the 3 strikes by America specifically, was only set back a few months. That's according to information from a report issued by the Defense Intelligence Agency, saying the 3 strikes did significant damage, but they were not totally destroyed. Now, today, speaking at that NATO summit, Donald Trump says there has been additional intelligence which proves his assessment of the damage to be more accurate. Here's what the U.S. president had to say at the NATO summit.
When I saw them starting to question the caliber of the attack, was it bad? Well, it was really bad. It was devastating. They were obliterated. In fact, you can't get into the tunnels. They just put that over. That just came out. They can't, there's nothing, there's no way you can even get down. The whole thing is collapsed in a disaster. And I think all of the nuclear stuff is down there because it's very hard to remove. And we did it very quickly. When they heard we were coming, it was, you know, you can't move it. It's very hard, very dangerous, actually, to move to. And they also knew we were coming, so I don't think too many people want to be down there knowing we're coming with the bunker busters, as we call them.
And Todd, at that NATO press conference, Donald Trump also sharing some intelligence from Israeli officials. And according to that intelligence, the strikes both from Israel and the U.S., according to that report, has set Iran's nuclear program back several years. And so he's pushing back against that initial assessment that not a whole lot of damage was actually done.
And what about bigger picture, that ceasefire between Iran and Israel? You know, it was shaky, appears now to be holding. What do we know on that front, Scott? Both sides are claiming victory, even though, as we know, in the case of Iran, calling this a victory is a big stretch.
Well, of course, it has to be categorized as a fragile ceasefire, even though it now is holding for its second full day after Donald Trump announced that on social media late Monday, even as both sides, as you mentioned, accused the other of violating the terms of the ceasefire in the early hours after it was announced by the U.S. president. Now, both Iran and Israel have since said they will respect the ceasefire as long as the other country doesn't violate it. Trump believes the war ended when the U.S. struck those nuclear sites, and he did go on to say at that NATO summit, U.S. officials will be meeting with Iranian officials next week, but he's not committing specifically to restarting nuclear negotiations, as he has deemed Iran's nuclear program to be totally obliterated and decimated at this time, Todd.
Good to see you, Scott. Appreciate the update. We'll talk soon.